You are listening to a Dynamic Works Productions podcast. This show is available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio Network, and many, many more podcast services around the world. You can find all our content, music, videos, books, podcasts, and more on our website, www.dynamicworksproductions.com. Have questions, comments, or concerns for us? Head on over to the social tab on www.dynamicworksproductions.com if you'd like to talk to us. Now, on with the show. Welcome back to another episode of the Fork in Your Ear podcast. I'm your host, as always, author, podcaster, and gamer, Tim K.A. Trotter. Joining me is my faithful co-host, the big troll up on the frozen mountain, come on high, down with his sledgehammer of justice.
From High Hrothgar.
From High Hrothgar. Ride, you fools.
Ride!
The one, the only.
Cat
Brock Loomis.
How's it going?
It's not too bad. Not too bad. Well, I mean, I'm in a pretty good mood considering I just lost 15 hours of save game on my Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Which is a very grind-heavy game like Final Fantasy, so I know your pain.
Yeah, it's super grindy. But in a good grind way. Like, the grind that's fun. Not the grind that sucks. Like any end game of really any of these games as service games, like even the end game of Anthem, end game of Division, end game of Destiny, all those end game grinds are a little much.
Yeah.
So man, there's just been a fuck ton of video game news this week. It's absolutely crazy.
A lot of technology news too.
A lot of technology news. Things are breaking, like, even before the show. Even this morning, like, there's news this morning, for crying out loud. And I guess there's going to be a shit ton of news to talk about next week. Because not only is Apple having their press event on the 25th, but surprise, so is Sony. They're doing their E3 games announcements Monday. Like, what?
They must be feeling the dogs nipping at their heels with all these announcements from Google and all the stuff we'll touch on in technology and games.
Yeah, we'll go into in-depth into it, but we're giving you a little teaser of what we're going to be talking about. We'll be talking about Google's Stadia announcement, which is a dumb name for the record. I just want that stated. Which is Google.
And the press release you read to me, I was not excited about it as much as I would hoped, but it definitely is putting pressure, I feel, on Sony.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's super crazy. In fact, I'm not going to spin. We're going to get right into the video games. We'll spin for the other topics, but let's just get into the video game stuff. So, first of all, before we get into that, Google Stadia, if you haven't heard, is Google's anything that has a Chrome browser or a YouTube video player, you'll be able to play video games from coming this summer, which is nuts. And Google's launching, and they say they have 100 development partners. Very odd phrasing on that. And it'll stream from 1080p, 30 frames a second, all the way up to 4K, 60 frames a second. And they
didn't you say they were planning something for like 8K, which will stream like fucking 120 frames?
Yeah, they did say. So let me get into the actual. Let me get into the actual specs here, as there is, because believe it or not, even though it's a streaming platform, there are specs. Very surprising. So tech giant Google has officially thrown their hat into the ring in the biggest way possible, and they're going to enter into gaming. They have the person heading it up is Phil Harrison, who is both a former Sony and Xbox executive, so he knows his shit. And he said in a special press conference held in San Francisco last week during the Game Developers Conference, so really trying to court those developers right away, is that the whole thing it's all streaming. So as long as you have an internet connection and some kind of controller hooked up to whatever screen via Bluetooth, you can play games on it. So basically, the quote from Phil Harrison is that this is a new generation of gaming, and it is not a set-top box. It says it will launch later this year, first in US, Canada, and UK, and then later in Europe. First of all, I want to touch on just the name Stadia. They have a very odd logo. It looks like a felt marker swiping left and right S, and then it's spelled Stadia. And then they said that Stadia is plural. I don't know why. So Stadia, it's like Nintendo. Like there's no singular or plural of it, I guess, is the reason they chose that name. But regardless, I feel like it's kind of an odd name going up against Nintendo Switch. Like A, you have the Nintendo name. B, you have the Switch. It actually switches. Like that's what it does. That's why it's called that. You have an Xbox One because they wanted it to be your one place for your entertainment, and then you have your PlayStation 4, which obviously is the fourth in the generations of PlayStation. Right, and then you have Stadia, and it's like, well, like what comes to mind? The thing that's going around right now that everybody says like, oh, it's Google Stevia. That's an internet meme going around right now. But I don't know, like it's not horrible, but it's not great either. Like it reminds me back in the day of like the Nintendo Wii, and it's like, what the fuck is a Wii? What the hell is a Stadia? I don't know. It's like Stadium. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sure they have their reasons. But the logo, like you said, was really fucking stupid.
It looks silly. It's like something that like came from like a bad ad agency.
And it probably did because it's fucking Google.
That's true.
One of the things that I really dislike is that they're like folding in YouTube into this thing, and I'm just I fucking hate YouTube. I think it is so worthless. And how it's still around, I don't know. So, fuck YouTube. But Chrome, and I guess call it nostalgia, but I really do like having physical games. It's just something about going to the store, like being excited and like, coming home with your game. Like there's something to be said that you don't get that with a streaming kind of platform.
So
I'm sure it's not going to matter to anybody else besides old fools like us.
Well, so I have a different viewpoint on that. So on the one hand, I do love that old experience of like going to a game, getting a game that you're excited about, or finding one at a good price, or that kind of thing. Like I do enjoy that experience. However, largely for the past several years, I've gone almost completely digital in my game buying, and that hasn't really, in my opinion, affected my enjoyment. But what I do still enjoy, I do still enjoy going out and finding, amiibos, which are physical things. I enjoy getting new controllers. I was excited when I got a new controller. You were with me when I got a new PlayStation 4 Crystal Clear controller to play Anthem with you.
Yeah.
And I was excited about it. I was excited when I got the Pokeball Plus. Like, I still get excited for buying things, but for me, I'm, and I realize I don't speak for everybody, but I do have very, very fucking fast internet. So me buying digital games is just, it's easier for me with how busy my life is, but at the same time, like I've bought in some physical games in the past couple of years, like I went and I got Soul Calibur 6 for my girlfriend Jessica last summer because she was excited about Soul Calibur 6. So there's still an enjoyment for me, but I think it's starting to wane, and the instant gratification of just having it and being ready to go. So while I'm not excited to like jump into Google Stadia, because the other odd thing about this announcement is there is no concrete launch date, there's no price, there's no like, is it a subscription service? Do you buy the games and it streams to you indefinitely? There's no details about how the actual service will work, other than anything that has a Chrome browser, which is literally every cell phone on the planet has that app either built into it because you're running on Android, or you have the Chrome browser via iOS, or apparently if you have access to YouTube. They detailed a thing where you can be watching a gameplay of like some streamer or a trailer for a game, and there'll be a new button that'll pop up that'll be like play now. And then they said like within 5 seconds you can be playing the game.
Which is super cool, and it's a great way to bring people into a game that they may not have been interested in, from like, if you're trying to get your friends to play a game with you. That's super cool. But like you said, we have no info on how this platform is going to work.
Yeah,
like,
we don't know.
Is it going to be like we don't know if it's going to be like PlayStation, where you fucking have a monthly subscription, but you can only play the game for however long they decide to keep it on their system, or on their rental, is what I call it. I refuse to actually look at that.
Well, let's break down the competitors so that we can maybe have a guesstimate idea of how Google might go about this. So the first one was probably Sony to do anything with streaming. So right now on the Sony PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro, you can stream any game that you want from your PlayStation, as long as it has a fast enough internet connection, to your PlayStation Vita. And something I heard about, and I think I've forgotten about, I've not actually tried this, but I guess I'm going to have to give it a go. I guess PlayStation released an app like several months ago where it basically works the same as streaming the game to your PlayStation Vita via your own home network, but you can stream it to an app on your phone.
Well, that's interesting.
And I kind of glossed over that. I haven't tried it. I guess it exists. I'm not sure how good it works. But I can tell you from experience, because I personally have used streaming a game to my PlayStation Vita like a fuck ton. I used it a lot last summer when Jessica wanted to watch a show, and I wanted to keep making bazillions of units in No Man's Sky with my dope ass living glass farm. And it was perfect for that, because I could go there, I could tend to my garden, and No Man's Sky is definitely a great game for that, because streaming to the PlayStation Vita isn't perfect. It's on my own home internet, so like if I go to the other end of the house, it gets kind of choppy because the Wi-Fi signal, and because the PlayStation Vita is old as fuck. So, there's that kind of stuff. But then PlayStation has also had this service called PlayStation... Pretty sure it's called PlayStation Now. Don't quote me on this, folks. I'm reasonably sure. I'm going off of memory here. They have a service called PlayStation Now where you can either rent a game, and it's either a it's a PS3 game or it's a PS4 game, and it's streamed from Sony servers to your console in 720p, 30 frames a second. But you also have to have really fast internet for it. And I've heard various mixed things over that. I've personally never tried it. I imagine I would probably be the exception, not the rule, for that service, because again, I do have very good internet. So, Sony has already been doing this for years, so I would imagine them not to be resting on their laurels in regards to this. Seemingly everybody and their fucking dog is jumping into this. We're all going to stream games to your TV like Netflix type of thing. So another competitor to Google besides Sony's previous PlayStation Now and their stream service to a device, but it's specifically like it's not necessarily from the cloud, it's from your own console. Is Microsoft has already announced, they announced this last summer and then again a couple of weeks ago, their Project XCloud, which basically streams games in full 1080p up to 4K. It's basically the same thing. And they've been supposedly working on it for a while. But they were the first ones to announce this. And the rumor is that those Xbox games are going to come to the Nintendo Switch. Which
is really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's really wild to think about. So it's like the Switch can play its Switch games, but you log into your Xbox Live, and keep in mind this is not confirmed, but this is a heavy rumor based on the fact that they've said Xbox Live and services, quote unquote, are coming to Nintendo Switch. And a lot of people were like, what the fuck does that mean? Because the same thing on that same note, still talking about this whole subject's kind of embroiled in all this streaming and these deals and things that are going on between developers right now, is announced this week was a exclusive 2D platformer that's done up in the Disney, like the old school Walt Disney style, called Cuphead, which I'm told is a fantastic game, but it's an exclusive Xbox game. Not just because it launched there, but because Microsoft bought the studio. And that game, with full Xbox Live functionality, is coming to Nintendo Switch in like a couple of months. Like, you can just download it and play it. Which is really wild, because that means that like Nintendo and Microsoft are like fucking okay with each other. Because like, when is the last time you've ever heard of like another competitor's like fully owned, they don't have to do anything they don't want to with the license, coming to a competing video game platform? Obviously people are probably shouting into their non-existent microphones to my ear right now. They're like, well, they let Minecraft on the Switch. And it's like, true, Minecraft is probably the exception to that rule, because Minecraft's on every goddamn thing that has a screen.
Also, Minecraft is fucking bullshit, so nobody cares. It's not groundbreaking.
I think Minecraft is great, but I've definitely outworn my Minecraft shoes, because No Man's Sky and Astroneer fill that itch for me. So it's potentially a really bad storm, because nobody knows what Sony's doing, and we won't know. Maybe we'll know Monday, maybe we won't know Monday. How is Sony going to combat? It seems like Nintendo and Xbox are fucking sucking each other's dicks and ganging up to destroy Sony, and furthermore to destroy Google. Because let's be honest, Google, tech giant, obviously very good at figuring out certain technical capabilities and things, and of course streaming, because they own YouTube. But they've never really dug hard. They're digging their heels in hard for gaming here. They've announced this Stadia platform. And according to reports, they had excuse me, I have a good sneeze here. Excuse me. Sorry for your ears, folks. People were allowed to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I guess, at this event. And they said that it looked beautiful and ran great, and they saw it on a variety of like hardware, from like really crappy PCs to like good PCs, and it was basically identical, which I think was Google trying to point out that it's streaming. It doesn't really need hardware, just needs a good internet connection. But a lot of the professional video games...
Well, you do need a screen that has a good refresh rate, too.
Sure.
So, I mean, that's about the only hardware you would really need.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, most TVs nowadays are better than a lot of gaming monitors for refresh rate, especially with the advent of 4K and stuff.
So the the bare minimum requirements that you'll need at home to use Google Stadia is you'll need at least a 15 megabits per second download speed with a latency of 40 milliseconds or less. I don't know how the fuck you measure milliseconds in download bandwidths. You know, I'm not crazy. Like, I'm pretty tech savvy, but I've never measured like millisecond latency. I don't know how you measure latency. I'm looking at a speedtest.net app on my phone right now, and I can tell you as soon as it's finished going here. I guess everybody gets to know our internet speeds here, Brock. I'm getting a download speed right now while I'm recording a podcast, and like there's probably at least 5 other people on my internet right now. I'm getting a download of 239 megabits per second and an upload of 11.9 megabits. And for those who basically don't understand that, if you want to put it into megabyte terms, so 600 megabytes is 1 CD, I'm getting a download speed of 29.8 megabytes and an upload of 1.48. And 1.2 is basically the bare minimum for if you wanted to stream 720p content from your home via Twitch. So I'm getting quite a bit better than that, actually. So if we want to break down the numbers for that, so like let's see. So we need to figure out 15 megabits per second. So let's see. I need to Google something here. Ironic, I'm Googling this for Google thing. Google. How many megabits in a megabyte? So it takes 8 megabits to equal 1 megabyte. So then you need 25. You need a minimum internet speed download of 3.125 megabytes per second, which means that would be... So if we're saying the bare minimum internet these days for, like, let's take an example. So in my area in Washington State, if you have fucking gay-ass, super shitty CenturyLink, quote-unquote high-speed internet, which I used to have, but then it's garbage, they were giving me about 1.4 to 1.5 megabytes a second. So if the minimum is 3.1, then people in even fairly tech-savvy states like Washington State couldn't be able to meet the bare minimum requirements. So I think we're saying right now that they're getting their foot in the door now this summer, and they're realizing that, and you know, it's probably going to be a long-term thing for Google to support this, because not everybody's going to even meet the bare minimum speed requirements. So that's a thing. So anyways, getting back to what some of the press was saying about it, at the event, the Stadia experience felt great. They said it was very smooth. They did say, though, they were cautious about the latency from input of the controller to the streaming service. And the reason is because apparently, I've not played this, but apparently Assassin's Creed Odyssey plays a little slow. So if there was lag, they said it would have been hard to perceive. They said they would rather have tried it out on something fast-paced, like Doom or a first-person shooter to see how laggy it was for a streaming game.
Or any number of like online games too.
Yeah, and that's the other question: is how does online games work? You know, are there friends lists? What's the interface look like? What's the dealio?
Yeah, I mean,
like we don't know shit.
Yeah, there's a lot more like taxing games than Odyssey. Odyssey is very beautiful, but when you get into stuff like like even Rocket League,
yeah,
there's a lot fucking going on. So I would be more interested in that than, you know, oh, check out this game that, you know, runs good on anything. Okay, well, it's a single player game that doesn't have a ton of action going on.
Yeah, it's very wild. Also in this announcement for Google Stadia, so Phil Harrison, former Sony and Xbox executive, is running Google Stadia. But they also announced the creation of their own first-party development studio called Stadia Games and Entertainment, who is being run none other by industry veteran and Assassin's Creed franchise creator Jade Raymond. So she's running their own video game. So they're making their own games. So they're going to have first-party Google games. Don't know what they are, but she's doing it, and she's kind of a creative genius. So we'll see what comes from that studio. So the other thing is they did say at start we've got 1080p at 30, and people who have the connections will have 4K at 60 frames a second. But they did say that the hardware that it's running on these server clusters around the world is expandable up to 8K at 120 frames per second. Now, a lot of people might be like, why the fuck is 8K mean anything? And why does 120 frames matter? Isn't 60 like the golden country? And to that, I'll tell you there's a technical reason why. So, for virtual reality, you need a minimum of 90 frames a second. 120 is even better for VR. And anybody who has a VR headset probably knows this. So what I'm thinking is there's probably going to be a Google Stadia VR down the road, would be my guess.
It would make sense.
I mean, it does. It really does. Yeah. So here's how they compared it. So first of all, Google Stadia is running on 200 different server clusters around the world that they've already built. They're using a custom AMD processor and graphics processing unit solution. And that name is particularly important for gamers because as of right now, if you have a PlayStation or if you have an Xbox, the hardware inside of it is AMD, both the processor and the graphics. So they've been doing gaming stuff for a long time. So they've partnered with a very strong company to make their hardware for gaming. They've also said that it's custom built, which is, not surprising, I suppose. And then they compared it to the existing PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X. So they compare these in a thing called GPU teraflops, which is the graphics processing unit, basically the sheer power that it can produce graphics and runs games with. And it's factored in by just basically a number. So they stacked it up like this. PlayStation 4 Pro has a max output of 4.2 teraflops. Xbox One X has a max output performance of 6.0 performance in teraflops. And the Google Stadia Edge cluster has a maximum performance of 10.7 teraflops. So it's quite a fucking bit beefier than your home console.
But these consoles are also 5 years old now.
It's true. It's entirely true.
That it's competing against. So, I mean, that while impressive, don't get me wrong, it's very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that whatever Sony and Microsoft are working on are going to be right up there with the Stadia. It's just, they're probably a year or two from releasing a new console.
Maybe. We'll see. I mean, what if fucking Sony's event on Monday is like, boom, PS5, November. Suck my dick. We're Sony. Suck it hard.
Yeah, but, whether they actually can come through with it is a whole nother story. They may just be like, oh, we have this new developed hardware and console stuff. And it's, but you can only buy online. Like, they may do something really stupid like Xbox did.
I doubt it.
Or like Sony did in the PlayStation.
Considering they bitch slapped Microsoft about it.
They did, but it doesn't keep it. There's nothing to say that they won't do something really stupid to try and like double down on the exclusivity of Sony, how they seem to do a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We shall see. I was trying to find out a piece of information here. So here's the thing. So PlayStation 4 came out in 2013, I believe. And then PlayStation 4 Pro came out in November 2016. So 17, 18. They've had more than 2 years to work on a PS5, and I'm sure they were probably working on it longer than that before that. So it's not unrealistic to assume that it's basically they've released a brand new PlayStation basically every 3 years. So if it's the third year, it's not unrealistic just based on that for them to drop their big donkey dick and be like, yo, PS5, what up?
Yeah.
But I think.
But do you think them releasing a new console is really going to be enough to compete with the things that Google and Microsoft and Nintendo are doing or going to be doing? Like, just having a new console, I don't think is going to be enough to really like bring home the bacon, essentially. Like, they're going to have to pull some fucking rabbits out their asses.
Well,
to really sell the PlayStation 5 if that's what they're announcing on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with them Monday because that's the wild card we don't know right now. If we are looking at, it seems clear the writing's on the wall that Nintendo and Microsoft are butt buddies for the streaming future. And Google's got their own initiative. And Sony has done streaming stuff in the past, just not very well. Are we looking at a future where the PlayStation 5, the Xbox 2020, and the Nintendo Switch hypothetical Pro, like, it's just a matter of whose streaming platform is the best? Is it going to come down to a matter of, like, is it the Hulu versus Amazon Prime versus Netflix of battles? Is that how it's going to be?
I mean, I could see it going that way. Definitely. But Microsoft and Nintendo have a huge jump on these other competitors.
Oh, sure.
Microsoft has a shit ton of really awesome backwards compatible games that if you owned them, it just automatically emulates, or you can buy them. And then, and there's just so much going against these late to the gamers, in my opinion.
Oh, I think so. I mean, Google has to prove itself not just as a competent platform, but they have to have the games. And here's the thing. When you break it down, Nintendo's the fucking Disney of the video game world. They have Mario, they have Zelda, they have Star Fox. They have this huge stable of characters that you can only get on a Nintendo platform. And that has kept their ship afloat for decades, And And now they're bringing all the indies and all the big games to their little console as well. So they're doing fantastic. And Microsoft has already done the uphill battle and proven themselves as warriors in the video game arena. And, while the Xbox One hasn't been their strongest foot forward compared to the 360 generation or even the original Xbox, in my opinion, and they definitely stumbled out of the gate with their first Xbox One kind of being an odd duck and kind of biting themselves in the
putting it nicely,
biting themselves in the butt by being a little bit underpowered compared to the base PS4. But like Microsoft does every time, is they threw money at it until they fixed the problem, they fixed the software, and then when they couldn't, they made a whole goddamn new console that was beef shit pimpy. I fucking failed that word so bad. It was terrible.
Yeah,
beef
you really
shit
did.
Pimpy. Let's
That's terrible. Don't ever say that again.
Roll the tape back. Roll it back.
You better edit that shit in post.
I was trying to say shut the fuck up.
It's easy peasy.
Oh, I hate you so much for that word. I was basically saying Microsoft has a shit ton of money and they'll throw developers and coders and money at it until they fix the software problem, which they almost always do eventually. And then when they can't fix it from a software perspective, they make a brand new set of hardware that's, actually works correctly, vis-a-vis, the Xbox One X, and then Sony rode hard into this generation of being like, hey, we have the most powerful console and we have exclusives up the fucking wazoo that make our destination the place to play, and that's won over a lot of gamers. And so now we're gonna have another huge pillar, and it's like, yeah, they say they have developers on board, and probably at the end of the day you're basically streaming PC versions of games to your TV, maybe. I say maybe questioningly because there's other things. They say that they have Stadia development kits out to people. Like, I don't know what that means because in regular video game lingo, a development kit means you basically have a weird box from Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony that you plug in and you basically test your games on so it doesn't break people's consoles. Yeah. So does that mean that there's a box that they have been shipping to developers that doesn't break it all the way back on their server somewhere? It seems complicated to me. I don't know. We'll see. The other thing about Google Stadia is this custom AMD hardware that they're talking about here. They've got all the raw specs. So compared to, let's say, the Xbox One X, the most powerful guy on the market right now, Xbox One X has 12 gigabytes of RAM. This has 16 gigabytes of RAM. It runs at 2.7 gigahertz. It's based on the x86 architecture, which basically every main computer and laptop you have that's not a cell phone or a tablet runs on this architecture. So it's a very common architecture, so developers can get stuff up and running on it quickly. And then their GPU has high bandwidth memory Mark II in it, which basically means it's the fastest fucking memory for their graphics processor that you can buy. To give you an idea, that's the kind of memory that something like Pixar and graphic studios and things in really high end like the iMac Pro and just beasts of gaming rigs would have. And the reason I point that out is because that sole reason on speedy graphics memory is the reason why the PlayStation 4 was more powerful than the original Xbox One at launch. Because the PlayStation 4 went with GDDR5 RAM, which is graphics dynamic RAM version 5, so faster version. And then Xbox went with DDR3. They went with way the fuck slower RAM, and it fucking crippled their console. Not majorly. You could still play the same games, but you could tell side by side, PlayStation's ran better and looked better. So, you know, right out of the gate, Google's throwing their weight and their money and their technological resources and being like, hey, this platform, which I guess is going to stay at these specs for probably a while, I would imagine, is beefy. And they've only announced one official game coming to this service. We can assume that Ubisoft is on board because people played Assassin's Creed Odyssey at the event. But they did announce Doom Eternal, the sequel to 2016's Doom, will be one of the first quote-unquote launch games for the platform. And then id Software told the stage that when Google approached them, it only took them 2 weeks to get Doom running on Stadia hardware.
Which is absolutely unheard of.
I mean, maybe not.
Well,
I mean, there's been a lot of good things that have been said about porting things to the Switch, and it's a very developer-friendly environment. So,
yeah, but I mean, for a brand new streaming console or whatever, like for the Stadia,
yeah,
like out the gates, I think that's pretty awesome.
I think so too. But I want to put a caveat on that. Like, yes, that sounds good. However, that's coming from id Software, who probably has some of the oldest, most badass veteran coders of like any developer. You know, just saying. It's the studio where John Carmack once was, and he's a fucking certified goddamn genius. So the people who remained and took over must also be geniuses. Just saying.
Very
Just
true.
saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about specs and a lot about this and a lot about that. We do have a couple of things on Google Stadia that are brand new to Google Stadia. And there's some very interesting concepts here, and I don't know how the fuck they're going to work, but they sound interesting. So they have a Google Stadia feature, I guess, which they're calling State Share. And so it enables the game to code a particular moment where the player is, what they have, a specific moment in the game. And then that can be shared via a web link. So you can like send it to a friend. Like the example is basically like, oh, hey, I'm stuck on this really fucking hard boss and I can't beat him because I suck. I can basically, I guess, pause the game and like copy a link and then shoot it over to, say, you, Brock, and be like, hey, can you beat this boss for me? And then you open the link and then you're playing my save file and that state, I guess, and you could help me beat the boss, and then you could pass it back to me.
Yeah,
so
which is super cool.
That sounds rad as hell. I don't know how well that works in reality, because it sounds to me like that. I mean, that is not a feature that's in any game right now, so I don't know. I don't know how that works exactly for like, is that a thing that has to be patched into games? Is that a thing that Stadia just handles on its own through some coding wizardry? Like, I don't know how that works, you know? The other exclusive feature that they demoed was a feature called Crowd Play. And they demoed it by playing a game that was also being streamed through YouTube Gaming. Big surprise, because of course it's a Google thing, so of course they're going to use YouTube Gaming streaming service. And basically, the example would be like you're streaming a fighting game and you get your butt kicked. You could like your viewers watching your YouTube stream could then pick up your controller and then play like the next round, and you could do like round robin with your audience, I guess.
It definitely adds a different dynamic to the aspect of like Twitch streaming, but I think it'll be more applicable to people who are like, hey man, like I got this. Like, I'm really tired. I need to go pee. Can you fucking hold this guy off for me for a little bit? Like, that
Yeah,
happens all the time.
that could be that. Could be that. You know, I can see it now. Like a banner pops in, like streamers on pee break, community action time. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
like something really dumb like that.
Or, I mean, God forbid that streamers monetize it. Be like, put your bid in for fucking to stream on my save file. $5 starting bid.
I mean, basically.
I mean, that's that's kind of how I see the streaming aspect of it going. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
For like Twitch and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. The final Google Stadia announcement that we have to talk about today is Google. Google had a very odd way of announcing how you're going to control the games. So, first of all, and this is the most surprising of them, is they said it will work with all existing video game controllers. And they didn't outright say which ones, but they showed a picture on screen, because I've seen some clips of the press conference now. They showed a picture on screen of the PlayStation 4 controller, the Xbox One controller, and the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons being hooked up to Google Stadia. So they're basically saying any Bluetooth controller, of which all three of those consoles have Bluetooth controllers, will work with Google Stadia, which is kind of awesome. And also, I imagine Google's probably paying those three people money to let those controllers do that.
Probably.
So, I don't know. We'll see. And then they announced, basically, they announced that they are going to have one piece of hardware that you can actually buy at a store and have shipped to you or whatever. And that's the Google Stadia controller. And it looks like a extremely traditional video game controller. You have ABYX buttons, although unfortunately to avoid copyright stuff. Oh man, fucking really sneezy. Really sorry, folks.
Allergy season.
They have ABXY, although in a different sequence on the right to avoid copyright issues from the other controllers. They've got twin sticks that click. They've got a D-pad. They've got two shoulder buttons, and they've got triggers. And then they've also got it's like a little Stadia logo button that's kind of like, basically, in describing a controller to you guys, basically think of they took a little bit of the Xbox One controller, they took a little bit of the PlayStation 4 controller, and they took a little bit of the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, and they crammed it into one controller, basically. So you've got your face buttons on the right. You have your sticks down on the bottom, right next to each other, just like the PlayStation controller. They're not offset like the Switch or the Xbox controller. You've got your D-pad up on the left area there, so more similar to the PlayStation controller. And then you've got your buttons. You've got 5 smaller buttons in the middle. In between the sticks, you have the Stadia logo button, which is like, the main menu button or the PlayStation button. Also looks similar to the PlayStation and Xbox button because it glows like the Xbox button, but it's right between the sticks like the PlayStation. And then above that, you've basically got a capture button, which will take screenshots and also start streaming. So like any other controller, except for the Xbox controller that has a stream button. So like the Switch or the PlayStation 4, you basically have a menu button that's basically like your start. You basically have a back button that's like your back or your minus button on Switch. And then there's a Google Assistant button so that you can say, hey, Google, I need help with blah area. Give me a guide for this part of the video game. And the other thing that's special about this controller is it doesn't use Bluetooth. It uses exclusively Wi-Fi. And instead of like connecting to the device that you're looking at your game on, it supposedly lowers latency by connecting directly through Wi-Fi to the server that you're playing the game on. And the idea is that you can play with any controller, yes, but if you want the absolute minimum lowest latency, you want to grab this Google Stadia controller. And that's pretty much all we know about the controller. A couple journalists have had hands-on with the controller, and all they could say is that it felt extremely premium, was the words that they described. They said it didn't feel cheap, and it had a heft to it, and the buttons felt good and clicky. And they described the triggers as somewhere between a PlayStation 4's trigger and an Xbox trigger, which could be good or bad depending on how you feel about those triggers. And then there was one headphone jack port on the bottom of the controller, so you can plug in your headset or whatever. And that's literally everything we know about the Google Stadia. And I feel like my voice is getting hoarse from all this talking about Google Stadia.
I mean, there's a lot to unload here, especially with what the information they released on it.
Yeah, I mean, especially because like they released a lot of information, but there's still also a lot we don't know. You know, that's the other part of the equation. So we're left to wonder. So,
yeah, and I'm curious as to see what if they're gonna what kind of plans or schemes they're gonna have if they're at E3.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is Nintendo doesn't have a press conference at E3. They do their own Nintendo Directs. They do have a show floor presence at E3. Microsoft is going huge at E3 and basically taking all of the stage presence they possibly could, and they've said as much. Sony's skipping E3 this year and won't have a show floor presence or a conference because I guess they're having one Monday. So, I don't know. It seems to me like it leaves room for Google to show up there at E3 and make a bigger splash even still. I mean, it would make sense.
Yeah, it totally does.
Especially considering, you know, basically the two heads of Google Stadia are Phil Harrison, who's a former executive of Sony and Xbox, and Jade Raymond, who worked at Ubisoft and created Assassin's Creed. So I feel like if those are sort of the proverbial two heads of Google Stadia, I would think that they would probably want to be at E3, but maybe not. I don't know. You know, they're Google. They can definitely have the money to hold a press conference whenever the fuck they want.
I mean, they could make their own thing and they could call it G3.
That's
it's only for Google. You know?
Oh no, you know what they'd call it? They'd call it GG.
GG.
Google Games.
Google
Jesus.
Games. Oh god, I totally see that happening, unfortunately.
Oh man. Yeah.
I mean, it totally wouldn't surprise me if they did something like that. If they started a division called GG.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great.
we gotta be trendy with the new kids.
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh god. So one more thing about the streaming thing and the streaming games things, and this is one of this is gonna surprise you. One of this is not gonna surprise you. Which one do you want? The surprising one or the not surprising one?
Surprise me.
So, Walmart has announced that they're also doing a streaming games service.
Yes. Dude, I totally called that yesterday. So yesterday, me and Tim were talking about, you know, companies that could, you know, get into the industry. And I was like, oh, dude, imagine if like Walmart bought Disney and Nintendo and was like, from now on, you got Walmart quality games and Walmart quality Disney.
No, you mean Great Value Games?
Yes, sorry, Great Value. Yeah, I mean, is it really that surprising? Like, Walmart is a fucking titan of industry, whether you want to admit it or not.
True.
They have been the top They've been the top most earning company in the world for the last decade, top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And the other ones are surprisingly oil giants like Beijing Oil or Beijing Refining, Chevron, Exxon, Mobil, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then Disney was like number 9, I think.
Yeah, and then there's Apple.
Yeah, and then there was Apple, who was, I think, 10. It was really surprising.
Yeah, especially because Apple has more money in the bank than any of those companies. But I think it's just because they like have money in the bank and they sit on it. You know, they don't move, like they move their resources very cautiously. And to be fair, given how their first fucking 30 years of business went, that's, you know, that's on them. That's fair, you know.
It's smart. It's really smart in my opinion.
So, speaking of that, so I saw a rumor, because there's also a press conference for Apple on Monday the 25th, from MacRumors.com, from one of their most reliable rumor leakers, that Apple is also doing a Netflix for games on Monday.
Oh man.
So fuck. Everybody's shown up at the party now, I guess. And it kind of makes sense. And here's why. So this is kind of getting into tech, and I'll get into some more later. But basically, Apple has a press conference on March 25th called Showtime. It's widely rumored that it's going to be their unveiling of all their TV shows, which I think we got into last week. We talked about it last week, didn't we?
Yeah, for quite a bit.
Yeah. And so we're like, okay, cool. They're going to have a press conference. They're probably going to announce a bunch of, you know, refreshes to their line. Well, surprise, surprise, this week they announced new iPads. They announced brand new iPad minis. They price dropped the entire MacBook Pro line by $400 each, which is crazy. They've never done that before. And they announced AirPods 2. And this is all before Monday, before their press conference. It's like, holy shit, what the fuck are they announcing at their press conference besides TV? Because it's like, okay, you announce a TV and how it works and where it's going to be, but it's like, is that really going to be a 2-hour press conference? I don't think so. So now it's like, is half of it fucking TV and the other half is, hey, we're stepping up to the gaming thing even more now too.
Which I'm surprised it took so long for Apple, considering that the iPads are basically designed to be like, they were a Switch before a Switch was.
Fair.
You know, especially with games like
Jade Empire.
Yeah, Jade Empire,
real
Republic.
classic games, I guess, would be the way to look at that.
And you know, frankly, I'm surprised Fable's not on there.
I mean, Fable's Microsoft, though.
Still, I mean, it's money. Money's money.
I mean, fair.
And
I mean, I guess you're not wrong, because they do have Halo games on iOS. That's true.
So, but I'm surprised it took them this long to really, really dive into it.
I mean,
because you know, the apps the gaming apps that are on even the iPhone are pretty freaking amazing games.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, the ports they do have are pretty freaking awesome too.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is regardless of how you feel about Apple or not, you know, and I would love to have my good friend, former guest on the show, Burning Wing, on here to talk about his love of Android and Google. But if you look at some cold hard specs wise, it's hard to argue that at least right now, Apple's processors and graphics units in their iPads and their iPhones are a huge cut above anything else on the market. You know, the iPhone XS and even your iPhone X sitting in your hand right now is as powerful as an Xbox One X. Like, graphics wise, if it didn't have the limitations of a battery and needing to, you know, cool down or power consumption constraints, specs and pound for pound, it's actually a bit more powerful. Like, You know, we've got games like Fortnite running on it. Like, I don't know, you've played a little bit of Shadowgun's Legends, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's a full-featured
basically,
Destiny type game. Like, first-person
yeah.
shooting AI, good AI, I might add. They outflank the shit out of me all the time. You know, rich 60 frames a second frame rate. You know, like good shooting, like multiplayer. Like, we've reached a point in technology where the things that are in the palms of our hands are outstripping the things that are sitting in our cabinets and sitting at our desks at home.
Oh,
You
easily.
know, and so if
And
Apple wants to step up to the game and be like, hey, you can run your game on our pimp, like, hugely powerful hardware, you know, in some kind of streaming scenario, like, you can bet your ass that they could build the fucking badassest fucking processor and graphics unit, because they are. And while they're behind in some respects of the technological curve in regards to, say, shaders and certain special technologies that like AMD and Nvidia have because they've been doing it longer, AMD or Apple owns their own GPU stuff now and have been making GPUs for 2 years based on decades and decades and decades of experience in working with all these other GPU companies. And so,
yep.
like, it's kind of a little bit of like, you know, going back to the streaming thing with Microsoft, like, we don't know how good xCloud's going to be. Like, there's going to be a new Xbox. There's probably going to be a streaming box, and there's probably going to be, hey, just use your old Xbox One to stream brand new games at 4K because we can, because we're Microsoft. Like,
Yeah.
do not ever underestimate the abilities of either Microsoft or Apple to make a crazy good product. You know? So the fact that if these rumors are true, we're going to have Nintendo and Microsoft together. Sony's doing something. Walmart's doing something. Apple's doing something. Google's entering in a huge way. And you know, that's like, I'm counting 5 with 2 of them paired up. That's more huge players than we've ever had in the fight for the household video gaming, you know. And I'm not discounting like PC gaming or anything like that, but it's like, if that's the way the whole industry is moving, you know, like, I don't have anything against PC gaming. It just costs money that I don't have. Um but it's like, that's what a crazy it's crazy to me that like all of that stuff is happening.
Yeah. I mean, touching back on to Apple, you know, you already have the option to freaking stream a show you're watching on your phone to your
It's
TV.
true.
Why wouldn't Apple just slightly upgrade their hardware and have a little plug-in port so that all you need is a plug-in, a little controller, and then you stream your game to your TV?
I mean, you
I
could,
mean,
because the other thing is Apple's opening up AirPlay, which is their streaming technology, to beam whatever's on your phone to a TV. And they opened it up last November, so every set-top box from Sony to LG to even fucking Samsung is getting that and iTunes. What if this is also a Trojan horse for that?
yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, it could very well be.
what if Apple's streaming service is also games? Holy shit, could you imagine?
I don't see why they wouldn't. Apple has infinity on their gaming level. I mean, if you really think about, like, there are more games on the Apple Store
Sure.
than you could ever buy on Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox. And I'm talking about all their platforms.
Yeah.
I'm talking about original Xbox through Xbox One, original PlayStation through PlayStation 4,
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo, the original Nintendo. Like, you combine all those platforms, the App Store has more games than any of those companies have ever produced or put on their system.
I mean, you're not wrong. I think the only thing I would say on
really
that,
silly.
and I'm definitely not speaking ill of the App Store, but I think it's probably a known statistical fact that there's more crap or what's referred to as shovelware video games on their store than, say, probably something like even Steam that's probably got a good heap of crap on there too.
Yeah.
But man, could you imagine if it's like, hey, like Apple Network or whatever the fuck they're gonna call it, like Apple.
No, they're gonna call it the Orchard.
Oh, actually, I kind of legit like that.
Yeah, because I'm awesome.
You know, and not just because like it's apples and whatnot, but maybe I'm also biased because my grandpa used to own a bunch of treetop orchards, and in my summers I grew up on treetop orchard farms. So like, but it makes sense. Like, you know, what would you know, I can see it fucking now on Monday. Tim Cook's like, you know, what do you call like a service that offers you like, right? You can see it, right? You could see him like waiting back on the stage. What do you call a service that offers you, you know, HBO original programming from Apple Networks, original movies, and original brand new AAA level development games? There's only one place where you want to pick your products, at the Orchard.
Yeah,
like, why not?
I should trademark
Apple
that.
Apple
It's
Orchard.
TM. Now it's Brock Orchard. It's Brochard.
That's great.
But no, like it works on way too many levels for them not to use it. If they don't, I'm gonna be personally offended.
Oh, I agree.
Like, you want to go and pick your favorite things at the ripest condition, but only in the orchard.
Yeah. And I can see him just like some little dumb logo or like little animatic of like they having like all their like cool like little named products like in a tree, and then there's like Sony and Xbox and everybody else, and somebody comes by and is spraying pesticides on them or something.
Well, and imagine and if they did do that, they brought back really legit old games like Infinity Blade. And, you know,
I'm very sad that game got closed down.
Yeah, I was thinking back when you were fiddling around with my iPhone 4.
Yeah,
I actually think I have Infinity Blade on it still.
Oh, that sounds surprising. I still got it on my phones. I'm not going to delete it until it stops working.
No, you fucking shouldn't.
Yeah, it's too good. One of my faves, actually. But yeah, Apple Orchard. I think that's a great place to end this talk about these fucking things. Okay, what less important happened? Okay, so Rainbow Six Siege is implementing a solution for punishing griefing players. Now, this might not matter to you on people who've never played Rainbow Six Siege, but it's a first-person shooter, and it's had a problem for a long time where somebody gets mad, and because it's a realistic shooter, your bullets can accidentally kill your teammates. Or in some cases, some people who are assholes, they just spawn in and they just murk their whole team, and you're like, we hate this dude. And then you go into the menu, and then you kick him out. So they're implementing a new program, which I think is the best anti-griefer medicine I have ever seen in a first-person shooter. So basically, if a dude team kills you for a period of time, whenever he shoots his guns, his bullets are going to go into his face. Like they're gonna wanted bullet curve Matrix style back into the aggressor. So he just gets to kill himself for like the next 5 minutes or whatever. Yeah. And the cool thing about this is they have some sort of like algorithm thing that like it's a certain percentage of bullets that hit a teammate plus duration of a trigger pull. So like if it's like a dude like pumps like a full fucking clip in, it's like, oh, this dude immediately gets all of his shit in his face for 10 minutes. You know, or if it's like, oh, 3 bullets hit another dude in a shoulder, no biggie. You know, like it happens in that kind of game.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking love this solution to games like this.
It is really, really smart, and I'm surprised it took so long.
Yeah, right? You'd think somebody would have figured this out before, besides just like turning off team kill, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Like, yeah, I wanted in all first person shooters that have friendly fire on. Like, let's just do it, right? Let's just do it.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah. One other bit of thing, I just wanted to mention that the March 25th PlayStation Nintendo Direct style showcase is officially called the PlayStation State of Play event. So check out thatness. Remedy Software's cool, mysterious, inception-y third-person superhero story-based shooter game, Control, has an official release date. It's coming to Xbox One, PS4 on August 27th. So look forward for that for a good summer game. If you haven't seen a trailer for Control, it looks fucking awesome and bonkers. And if you're unfamiliar with Remedy, they created Max Payne, Alan Wake, Quantum Break. They know what they're fucking doing with story-based third-person shooters, because that's all they do. But I'm looking forward to it because it looks bonkers. It looks like the Inception game we wish we had gotten. So look forward to that. Let's see. The only thing I didn't talk about was Apex Legends Battle Pass.
Yeah.
Season 1 called Wild Frontier became available March 19th for 950 Apex coins or $950 US. Basically, it's like everybody else's fucking Battle Pass where you pay some money and you get ranked up tiers, and as you unlock tiers, you unlock things in the season going up to level 100. It's of my opinion and several other people who play Apex Legends with me that the Battle Pass is not worth the money. Like, yeah, you get like some skins and stuff, but at least for the characters I play, it's not worth it to me. So that's lame in my opinion. I'm giving an official Tim's thumbs down for Apex Legends Battle Pass. Because you could just buy another character or earn in-game coins to get another character. Like 950. Like it's not like there's new guns or new maps, or like it's just skins and titles and all the existing cosmetic stuff, just more of it. And it's not even cool looking, in my opinion. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not for it. However, what I am for is the brand new character, Octane, which I'll have to eat my hat on because I was wrong. We'd heard some data mines that there was this weird kind of Borderlands looking character with a shark face mask thing, and that he might be like the leader of like a bandit gang for potential future NPC areas for like, you kill some NPCs and you get their loot, which potentially could hypothetically be coming to Apex Legends, but I was completely wrong about it. And the other people's theories that it was going to be a brand new character were correct because Octane is out. I've played Octane. Octane is pretty great. If you're into Apex Legends, which I imagine, given how many fucking people are into Apex Legends right now, you probably are. Octane is a fantastic new player. His L1 ability is to stab himself with adrenaline, and so he runs super duper duper fast. That's useful for escaping danger and getting to the better loot before your friends and making them really angry at you. His ultimate is he throws down basically this boost jump plate that propels you forward, which can be useful for getting out of danger or having like putting it down for your team so they can like jump over a huge wall and surprise attack an enemy. And if you're worried about the balance of him being super speedy, every time he injects himself, he loses 10 health. So he hurts himself to go fast. But the interesting thing about it is this character can't heal the way others can. Like he can't use syringes. Or wait, don't quote me on this. I might be wrong about this. He can't use the regular med pack, so you have to have a higher level med pack because he heals himself over time. It's like 1 HP every couple of seconds.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you can like run away, recover a tiny bit, and then like get back into the fray, basically. And he looks like somebody like who came out of Borderlands. Like his legs got cut off, he's got robot legs. He's Hispanic and he's wisecracking. He literally looks like a character out of Borderlands. So, but he's fun to play. So, there you go.
Sounds like
there
it.
You go.
Sounds like it.
Oh my god, that's all the video game stuff.
So wait. So let me get this right. He's Mexican.
Yes.
So he's a Mexican that runs fast, can jump over walls, and heal himself.
Yes.
That is totally not racist by any means at all.
I mean, I never really thought about it, but you're right.
I mean, I'm Mexican. I think it's funny, but I like if nobody's made that connection, and I'm constantly on Reddit.
Yeah.
How somebody hasn't brought that up, and the fact he's called Octane, and we Mexicans love our cars that go fast and are loud.
I mean, it was probably one of those things that was put together by like a consensus media group.
Yeah, probably.
Because I mean, if you think about it,
it's still. I think it's
like
funny.
okay, so you've got a wisecracking showman, you've got a big giant like Samoan dude who's gay, you've got like the Asian chick, you've got the Mexican. I mean, I'm just saying they're just throwing all their stereotypes in, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really does seem that way. And by no means am I offended by this character. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
And hilarious. I'm surprised somebody hasn't put 2 and 2 together, especially on Reddit, which is fucking notorious for that. And I follow Apex on Reddit, on the Reddit subs. So
yeah.
Maybe I'm breaking ground and opening Pandora's box by saying this.
Yeah.
But I think it's awesome. And he's got robot legs. So he's like the 6 million peso man.
600 million pesos.
Is it really 600 million?
No, I'm just fucking with you.
I'm referring back to the robot chicken episode where it's like the 6 million peso man.
I never saw that one.
Oh, dude, it's ridiculous. It's hilarious.
Fair enough. Okay, well, let's move on to some other topics. You know what? I'm not going to spin this week.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool. I don't think I posted anything about technology, but we'll just say that there's so much video game technology that... Oh, actually, you know what? There was some technology. So, again, Apple announced brand new iPads and iPad minis and, surprisingly, AirPods 2. So AirPod 2s are more of an evolution. They're not a complete redesign or anything of AirPods. They have an extra hour of talk time. They charge faster and can last an extra couple of hours. And then they have 3 varieties to choose from. Basically, you have the standard AirPods with the old style case. So you get AirPod 2s and the old style case. And I say old style, it has a lightning connector and a button that you click to sync with stuff. But you get the AirPod 2s in them. Then there's the second tier where you get the AirPods 2, the AirPod 2s, and you get the brand new you get a brand new case. It's still got a lightning connector, but it's got a wireless charger on the back. So you can put it on any of the or key, however you pronounce it, wireless charging pads, like you might have for an iPhone 10 or 10s, and charge it that way. And then if you have regular AirPod 1s, which I do, you can buy the new case separately, and it is backwards compatible. The only other things that Apple is boasting with the AirPod 2s is they said a 75% faster connection time specifically for phone calls. I personally never had a problem with them connecting for phone calls, but if it's 75% faster, sweet, I guess. Rock on. And
Yeah.
then it's got a brand new chip. AirPod 1s had something Apple called a W1, which was the first kind of wireless chip of its kind, and now it has something called the H1 chip in it. And they say faster call times, longer battery life. And then they specifically had a line in there about it has faster Bluetooth connection to eliminate lag, specifically when playing video games. I thought that was very interesting for Apple to specifically say that, because like I've never had any problem with them, but like I guess I could understand it, because like if you think about the way a video game sound channel works, it's not the same as a raw audio file or just a microphone and a talking connection on like a Skype or a phone call. You know, you've got other sound effects coming through the audio output line, I guess. So maybe it had some problems on some games that had complex audio, perhaps. I don't know. I never experienced any of this personally, but it's what they have on their selling point. So that's a thing. Another thing that I'm particularly happy about, because I am an iPad mini guy. They announced a brand new iPad mini 5. And it's interesting. So the reviews on it have already hit, and basically there's not too many 8-inch tablets out there. That market's kind of gone away in favor of either bigger tablets or even smaller, like phablets, as you might call them.
What'd you call them?
Phablets, a phone tablet, like the fucking
okay.
Galaxy Note, which is the phone tablet. That's where the shit came from, the phablet. I knew a dude, shout out to Kevin, who who loved his phablet. But to be fair, this dude was like a 6.5 foot tall, like he looked like fucking fucking Kingpin. Like he was a Kingpin sized man, you know. Not to be derogatory or anything, like dude plays basketball, but like dude's a big motherfucker. like and so to him, a phablet was a tiny man phone. So it was like, Jesus. He's like, oh, it just fits in my pocket. Like your fucking pocket that can fit like a 24 pack of soda. You know?
Right.
But yeah, no. He's a good dude. But yeah, phablets. It's a thing. But anyway, the iPad Mini's gotten rave reviews. People have, from The Verge to Engadget and stuff, have given it everything from 8.9 to a 9.5, saying it's the best, if only, tablet in that particular size category. And they basically praise the fact that on the inside, so basically on the outside of the tablet, it looks exactly like every previous iPad Mini. Like the buttons are the same. It has a headphone jack. Amazing. Apple produced a product that has a fucking headphone jack when they killed it from their whole line like 5 years ago. And here's a new one that has a headphone jack. The kind of joke running around is that it's a mixed bag of used parts iPad parts. But they said it in like a best way. It doesn't have a protruding camera because it's got the same camera. It has a better iSight or FaceTime camera on the front. I guess it has the same speakers, same battery. But on the inside, it has all of the specs of the iPhone XS. So it has the really super beefy Apple A12 chip, I think it's called, along with everything that comes with that. So 3 gigs of RAM, super fast this, super fast that. It's got all the faster wirelesses. If you choose the cellular model, it's got faster Wi-Fi. The screen's the same size. It still has the same edge bezel from the last 4 versions of iPad Mini, which I think is fine personally, because I really kind of like the design of the older iPads, personally, compared to the new ones. And because it has the same screen size, it's still got bezels and stuff. The screen is not any denser, but it is. It went from an LCD to an LED, and it is the new the newer liquid retina technology, so I guess it's the best kind of LCD you could get in a pad these days, since most things are OLED. And surprisingly, Apple has kept it the same price as the previous iPad mini, which hasn't been upgraded for several years. I'm personally thinking about upgrading to this iPad mini because my other iPad mini is getting a little long in the tooth and is kind of, at least more lately, getting relegated to basic office work like word processing and Excel. So it'd be cool, and it's the exact same dimensions, so it will fit with my keyboard and fit with all of my accessories that I have for it, which honestly is kind of cool. And then on top of that, they introduced brand new iPad Airs, which basically have the same specs as the 2019 iPads. The other bonus is that both the new iPad mini and the new iPad Air have Apple Pencil support. So if you wanted a smaller tablet or an iPad Air that had Apple Pencil support, now you do. Surprise. Nice. So that's what I got for technology, besides all the Stadia and the streamings and all that sort of crap. That's what I got, man.
All right. I mean, it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's
do you want to
a lot.
Do you want to fucking open your Discord and go through the fucking topics of entertainment? Because my voice is super dying, homie.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd start on March 20th. Or actually, March 18th would be good because Kono had a really good question for the show, actually.
Okay. 18th. 12. 18. Come on.
Whew.
Okay. Is that the one, the Endgame Infinity Stone question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So one of the people we regularly play with, Kono.
Yep.
So his question is, with Endgame right around the corner, if you could have one Infinity Stone, which one would you choose? And didn't get a lot of responses, but one that was Time, the Time Stone. And I would have to agree with them. Time Stone is pretty legit.
You know what I would choose?
What's that?
I'd choose the Reality Stone.
Oh, reality can be whatever.
That's literally what I was thinking. I was like, because reality can be whatever I want. That's exactly why I would choose it. Like, okay, so explain why you would choose the Time Stone.
Well, I mean, if the Infinity Stones are being split up, like, and only one person gets per stone, I can be like, I'm gonna change time, rehide all the stones so none of these fucks can have any of the other power stones, and then only I have the power. And, for that reason, that's why. But also, I mean, think about how much you could do. Like, you're like, fuck, man, like, I gotta brew coffee. Like, for me, it's like when I wake up in the morning, it's an instant, I have shit to do and I needed to get it done last night type shit. Like, fuck,
that's how I always feel too, man.
I gotta make breakfast for my kid. I gotta make coffee for myself. I gotta go outside and warm the car up. I mean, now not so much warm the car up, because it's, we're getting warmer, but a million fucking things that I gotta do as soon as I open my eyes, and all I want to do is like lay back and like scroll through Reddit or the Discord or whatever. And it's like, oh man, I'm just gonna, boop, boop, pause time.
Boop, boop. It's exactly a DVR.
Like that. That's how
time is a DVR.
Boop, boop. Yeah, exactly. That's how it fucking is. That's how I imagine the Time Stone.
It's a fucking TiVo.
Yep.
Oh man, that'd be great. Well,
get all that silly shit done. It'd be like, it would make life so much easier, just like being able to have like an extra like 30 minutes that doesn't pass and just get all your shit done in the morning.
See, so it's funny because I would have the reality store for somewhat similar reasons, you know, like if I was like fucking late, I'd be like, oh, I need coffee. Oh, it's in my hand. You know, it's like, oh, forgot to take a fucking shower. Nope, it's done. You know, like, you know, but then I'm not like fucking with time, which could, you know, have bad consequences, you know.
No, it's
And
fine.
then like, you know, if it's like, oh, I don't have enough money for like fucking like rent this month or whatever, like I have a bazillion dollars. You know, like, oh, this prick
Yeah,
is annoying me. He's a goddamn frog that's gonna be electrocuted by a lightning monster that I have created. Muhaha.
but is he self-aware that he's a frog and that he was formerly a human?
I would say the same rules apply as the way it happened in Infinity War, because like when they got turned into like springs and whatnot, and like basically like killed, like it's kind of like area effect. Like when he left, it like went back to the way that it was. So
Yeah.
it's like nothing could touch you within that sphere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
You know,
I
it's
gotcha. I
like if
gotcha.
I want to fucking eat a donut, you know, like I can fucking eat a donut. You know, like yeah, it'd be cool. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying.
I like it. I'm not saying that the reality stone is stupid to have. It would probably be my second choice.
Yeah.
But time just seems to me it has just a little more oomph that puts it over the top for picking it.
See, I feel reality has more oomph. Like time, okay, fine, you can alter things, but then you can also like get stuck altering things over and over and over again. Whereas reality, you can just be like and make it how you want.
But time is one of the laws that governs reality. So
fuck off.
so
I think not.
you know,
reality can be whatever I want.
It is.
That's what I have to say about it.
Time is meaningless.
Exactly. Be like, fuck your time. Eliminate all the clocks. You don't know time. Exactly.
But I mean, it's kind of a moot point since we're all humans and we can't actually wield the power stones.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
it wouldn't matter. Like, even if we had the option to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pick this fucking thing up.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I just disintegrated into all the timelines and all the multiverses, and now I don't exist.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's an interesting question. I just time is gonna be my choice for sure.
Fair enough. What's next?
All right, let's go. So you posted a little interesting picture that you had ended up showing me in person, and it was basically, with the Disney deal being done, it showed all its like franchises that are now a part of Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Like so like Star Wars, Pixar, like
Avatar.
Marvel, Avatar, anything on Fox now, like
yeah. So basically what the picture is,
both sports wise, yeah, it's really cool. It's a really cool picture.
So as of last Wednesday, this March, it was like the that would have been the 20th. Disney officially owns Fox, and they're all starting their integrations now. And Disney updated their website like on the dot when it was like officially legally theirs. And so the webpage of the Walt Disney Company has a picture of Ray, those creatures from The Shape is Water, a picture of Woody from Toy Story, the Avatar people, Captain Marvel, Bart Simpson. There's like a chimpanzee, dude on baseball, some chick, Deadpool, Mickey Mouse,
Donald
Glover, Elsa, and then another baseball player. And it's like the Walt Disney Company. And then also interesting, like at the top, there's like a little line of color that's kind of like light green to yellow, which I might add is the color of Hulu.
Yeah,
and it was like, damn.
Yeah, like basically Disney flashed around its big new dick.
Oh yeah, it has the biggest new dick. In fact, they've already wielded some of their power. So
really,
Fox 2000, which I guess was one of their like indie movie labels, has been canned as of this morning. They did indie stuff like Fox Searchlight, so I assume that it was probably seen as redundant. Like, just keep everything under Fox Searchlight, because that was one thing that had been talked about, was that Searchlight would remain. And then they've already, and this is sad, but it's sad and it sucks, but I hope people had time to prepare for this coming. It's like 4,000 or 5,000 people have already lost their jobs because of redundancies.
Which isn't surprising by any means.
Yeah, and then they said analysts were predicting that once Disney's completed folding everything underneath who they want to be leading what, they were estimating another 10,000 to 20,000 employees losing their jobs as well, which is a fuck ton of people. But they also bought Fox, $72 billion.
Yeah.
Think about how many different studios and people were doing what, where, when, and why. Like, it's a fuck ton of people.
Yeah, and it makes total sense. Anytime a company gets bought up by another company, there's always downsizing for redundancy and for just fucking nepotism reasons.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why people would be surprised or shocked even that Disney, a very smart and competent business, would, like, I don't see why they thought that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a thing, but we're officially in the time of Disney owning just fucking everything. It's just, I don't know. It's just really cool that their official, basically, sort of statement about it, besides like officially stating what they've stated, is like on their homepage is like, there's Bart Simpson next to Captain Marvel and Deadpool next to fucking Star Wars. Like, that's just so fucking cool.
No. So it's Deadpool next to Mickey Mouse.
Whatever. That's all on the same fucking page.
In the Magician's Apprentice, which, if you really think about it, Mickey Mouse, the original Disney icon, next to the most like raunchy, not Disney-esque character.
Yeah.
Whether they did that on purpose or it was kind of like a show of like, yeah, we're gonna do our best to like bring these franchises and businesses into the fold and leave them intact as how they were.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's cool, whether intentional or not. That's how I took it.
Yeah, I'm excited for what's next for some of the Fox things. I mean, we know Deadpool's safe. And obviously Simpsons is still a moneymaker and is probably going to continue until one of the cast members dies. Or maybe even indefinitely, because it's fucking animation. Like, they can be replaced.
Yeah, dude. Like, look at what they did with perfect example from us watching BoJack Horseman. In this episode, like, BoJack just skips out on filming and they're like, oh, we edited you in post because we took a digital capture of your face and your movements and your voice. It's like, you don't think that Disney doesn't have the money to do that to anybody in the world?
Dude, so I just found out, this is not a spoiler for Captain Marvel, but like I said, Samuel L. Jackson's in it, like, at least 60% of the movie. Like, he's in it a lot.
Yeah.
And they use that really expensive digital de-aging technology in every single scene for him, so that he looked like 90 Samuel L. Jackson. And I was like, holy shit, I didn't even know. Like, I thought that they, maybe used it in certain scenes, but then, like, just used good lighting and makeup, I guess.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they didn't have to do much to Samuel.
Yeah, like, he's aged crazy well. And he also hasn't changed too much. He's still a fucking tall, skinny black dude,
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think they had to do too much. I'm sure it was expensive, like any other technology is, but compared to other people, like how they probably had to de-age Robert Downey Jr. for Age of Ultron.
Oh yeah,
because
he changed
scene.
So fucking much, and it was Civil War, not Ultron.
Was it?
Yeah, because it was the opening scene.
Oh, okay.
Where he looked like
Yeah.
fucking
Right.
just so
16
fucking
Candles.
pubescent. Like,
Yeah, he looked like 16 Candles, Robert
yeah.
Downey Jr.
I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that Samuel L. Jackson got the full DH treatment when they didn't use the DH treatment for Kurt Russell in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know
either.
I'm sure that was somebody's choice, probably makeup or James Gunn or whoever.
Financials, maybe, because they probably had a ton of other special effects in that movie.
No, never.
Yeah, never in a movie about space with aliens. Yeah, one of those things.
And then, the post after that was from you, and it's a rumor.
It's a fucking awesome, dope ass rumor, though.
It makes me very happy.
It makes me the happiest.
And makes me the most happiest.
Makes me happiest to stir.
Sure. You're stupid.
You're fucking stupid.
Basically, it's Game of Thrones creators are supposedly starting a shoot of a Old Republic film.
Yeah, for Star Wars.
Now, whether that...
I forgot the Star Wars.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Because there's any other Old Republic franchise out there?
No, but there's like other Old Republics. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like Caesar.
Yeah, I guess. No.
Yeah.
No. But it's saying that they're trying to start shooting now, essentially, and it's taking place in the Old Republic. Now, whether this is true or not. We don't know if it's going to bring a huge fan favorite, Revan, back into the fold of canon.
I fucking hope so.
It almost have to.
It needs to fucking happen. I want the full glory of Revan.
I do too. But we also don't know what time it would take place in that timeline. Because, I mean, there's the Mandalore Wars.
I mean, honestly,
there's the Sith Wars.
I would hope for like the Knights of the Old Republic. Like adaptation, because that was one of the best Star Wars stories I have ever experienced in my lifetime, hands down. I
honestly, I would love to see the beginning, like Revan start to turn to the dark side, and you see the glimpses of the Mandalore Wars, which was a huge deal.
Mm-hmm. But I think that was a long time before the Old Republic, though, wasn't it?
No. Because Revan fought in the Mandalore Wars. That's why he turned to the dark side.
Yeah, but isn't he 1,000 years old, though?
Revan?
Yeah,
No.
I thought he was 1,000 years old.
I don't think so.
Sure. I don't know. Whatever.
I'll have to look that
Star
up.
Wars nerd canon. Whatever.
And it's not canon anymore. Because those games aren't canon, technically.
Yeah, that's true.
So... me and Tim, I don't know about you guys, but it's going to be, if it is true, it's going to be a huge change in direction compared to them trying to push out the franchises that they already have, like the ones that are based around the original trilogy and then the old trilogy.
Then the new trilogy, if you count that new Resistance show, which I've not yet seen.
I have not either. But from what I hear, it's pretty good.
Yep.
You got the Rebels, which was an absolute astounding show. Amazing. Still one of my favorite animated series.
Mm-hmm. You've got the Mandalore that's coming this summer on Disney Plus.
Yep. Which is taking place kind of incongruent with the original trilogy, or in between the newest?
I think it takes place after.
Okay, so it's happening between New Hope and Return
and Force Awakens.
And
so it's same time period as Resistance, or somewhere in there, because it's like 20 years, so it could be after that, it could be before, we don't know, or I don't know because I haven't seen Resistance. Because I think Resistance takes place closer to Force Awakens, because I'm pretty sure Poe Dameron's in it, as well as BB-8.
Yeah.
But then again, droids don't count because they tend to go across eras, like
Yeah.
all the fucking time.
Yeah. I totally, I'm still angry that they haven't introduced like a proper assassin droid into any of the Star Wars, like they did with HK-47.
Oh, dude. So on The Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
So IG-88, the like really tall, like narrow droid. He's in The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and he's being played by Taki Awadia.
Really? Why isn't Tweedik doing it?
Who, Tudyk? Probably because he's doing 1,000 other fucking things for Disney. I mean, he is.
No excuses. I know he is.
Like, he's fucking in everything. What was the thing he was announced as? Oh, yeah, and he's the fucking Joker in that new Harley Quinn animated show.
Really?
Yeah, he's Joker. Oh, I think he'll be a dope Joker, to be honest.
He'll be an awesome Joker.
Yeah, he'll be super good.
One of my favorite, actually my favorite non-Mark Hamill Joker is, what's his name? The voice of Bender Rodriguez from Futurama.
Oh, really? Wait, what? When was he the Joker?
In Under the Red Hood.
Oh, man, I don't remember. I mean, I remember Red Hood, but I don't remember him doing the voice for the Joker.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, gosh.
He does an amazing job.
That's funny. Okay. I mean, I believe it. He's a great voice actor. I just, like, I'm trying to picture it in my head because I know I've seen that film, and obviously I don't remember that at all.
You got to rewatch it. It's a really good DC movie.
Yeah, it is.
So back to Star Wars. Hopefully they will take a stab in reintroducing some fan favorites like Revan, Malik, Bastila, HK-47, like I said, which is a huge fan favorite, and probably one of the only.
So HK-47 is technically
only non-good droid
in the new Disney canon.
Really,
and I'll tell you why. And it's kind of a weird one. So there's a Star Wars video game on tablets and phones. Fuck, I gotta think of the name of it. Let me just look at the name on my fucking phone because I have it. I've been playing it for years. It's been around for like fucking 5 years. It's basically a JRPG.
Okay.
Complete turn based. It's really good, actually. Star Wars Heroes.
Okay.
And in Star Wars Heroes, they've said, because it was one of those ones that was changed from, it was one of those ones in the Disney acquisition that Disney kept. And they said, okay, but you can only put in characters who are in the new canon. And HK-47 is in that game. Not Revan, but HK-47 is apparently somehow part of the new canon.
Okay.
So that's cool.
Yeah, that's okay. That's nice, but still, HK is nothing without Revan. But I'm really hopeful for it.
Sure.
But we'll have to see. So on to the next one. There's you mentioned about Disney in the layoffs. You posted about Dark Tower series coming to Amazon.
Yeah, so this is a surprising one. I had totally forgotten about this. So apparently, when the Dark Tower movie was done with Idris Elba and fucking what's his name? Southern guy.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, Southern McConaughey. Yeah, Southern guy. Apparently they were gonna do the movie and then they were gonna do the series on Amazon, like both those actors. Like it was gonna be a continuation of that.
Okay.
Like, and this was like when the movie came out, so like 2 years ago. And I totally forgot that there was like some contract for that to happen, but then I guess it fell through, and so now it's still happening. It's happening this fall, but with new actors. So that's a thing.
Okay. I mean, I really like Idris Elba, and I was pleasantly reminded last weekend, and I mentioned it on the last podcast with Turn Up Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Really good, just Netflix original that Idris Elba, I think he created and he wrote a couple episodes. Just really well.
It's like about a babysitter, right?
Kind of.
Okay.
He's a he's a one-hit wonder DJ from like the 90s.
Oh God.
And so he's basically he's barely scraping by.
Okay.
And then his friend moves back from the United States. He's like he's just an action star, movie star. So he hangs out with the kid. He's like one of the few people that doesn't like immediately hate the friend's kid, and so they're like, "Oh, why don't you watch her?" Blah 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 blah. And that just kind of, and then the wife of his friend is like this world-renowned DJ.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can guess where it goes from there. So, but it's really well done, and it's really good.
Okay. Cool. So, Dark Tower TV series, looking forward to it?
Yeah, I like the Dark Tower series.
Okay, cool.
I'm really interested in how they're gonna do the suicidal, murderous, sentient train.
Is that a thing?
Oh yeah.
What?
There's a train in the Dark Tower series who is sentient and suicidal or depressed. I can't remember. It's been a long time.
Brock, would you call it a ghost train?
A ghost train. So, yes, I would call it a ghost train. No.
Surprise, surprise. The guy summons a ghost train would use a ghost train.
Yeah. And then, so what? Supernatural is going to be ending after 15 seasons.
That's insane.
Jensen Ackles, Jared Padalecki, and Misha Collins have announced it.
I don't know who Misha Collins is, but I assume it's somebody on the show.
He's the angel.
Oh, okay.
He's
do you watch that show?
Castiel. I do.
Okay.
I haven't watched it recently. I go through about every other year and do like a total rewatch from season 1 to current season whenever Netflix releases a new season. And it's just a really good show. I find it very entertaining.
Okay. So
I know you don't like it.
Are you saddened by the fact that it's ending?
No,
It's time.
Not by any. Yeah, I mean, it's not that it's time or not time. It's just I liked the show to just like watch. Like it's a good filler for when you're kind of in between shows. It is by no means like up there with my top rewatching shows, which is Futurama, Adventure Time. What else? Like those shows I truly love and were sad when they canceled multiple times. Like Futurama was canceled like 5 times. And I was sad every time.
That's true. Did you get that meme I sent you about Futurama?
No, I don't think so. Did you send me on text?
I don't know. I'll send it to you on text right now.
Okay.
We need to hear your reaction to it live on air. It's fantastic. Where is it? It's a meme of that scene with the happy robot and Fry.
Oh, yes.
I just sent it to you.
It's yeah. Yeah. So the meme is I think it's Fender Bot, and it's like, hey, heard Futurama is coming back, and then it goes to Fry. He's like, what, really? No, I just thought you would like to hear that for a moment. I was just like, oh man, it's so fucking true.
It's true.
Like it's
fucking true.
Like just such an amazing show that was canceled way too many times, and you get shows like fucking Family Guy and other drivel that stay on for seasons. so infuriating.
Yeah, well, I'd rather have that drivel than another goddamn minute of Mr. fucking Peanut Butter.
No, Mr. Peanut Butter's hilarious.
A fucking bastard, and he needs to die in a fire while watching fucking cars and cats in front of him on the other side of a screen with like other dogs playing with balls and being happy, so that he's really fucking sad about it. Like, I just want him to die so bad.
Yeah, Tim really does not like the character of Mr. Peanut Butter. So.
Yeah, so Mr. Peanut Butter is this dumb fucking yellow lab in BoJack Horseman. And like I think Todd is just a crappy character in general. Like, he's just bad, like, and dumb. But it's just kind of like, okay, he's the dumb character. But Mr. Peanut Butter is like, imagine if you made Ned Flanders like a lab that was successful and also really dumb, and then you just like that kind of person that you just innately want to murder. That's Mr. Peanut Butter. What was it I was saying in the car? Or the van yesterday, and you were laughing your ass off because of how badly I wanted him dead.
Oh,
what did I say? So, I don't even remember.
There is a scene where Mr. Peanut Butter is like, his wife was supposed to be in this war-torn country, like doing life-saving stuff, yeah. And he looks over and he's like, "Oh, hey, babe," and they have this conversation. Yeah. He's like, if you miss me, you can come back and help me find the batteries. I know it's a really long way to go. And Tim was like, "Oh, that is such a disgustingly mature way to handle it." and I was like, "Oh God, it's so true." Like, fucking this. But then Mr. Peanut Butter ruins it at the end.
As he always does, because he's a terrible, horrible character who deserves to die.
He's like, babe, there's this lady that at the restaurant I'm at that looks exactly like you. Her mouth is even moving when you're talking to me, and it just like and then the scene ends. Like, but it was funny, your reaction to his like disgusting maturity of handling the situation.
I mean, is it just too much to want him to die?
I mean, no. I mean, you feel the way I feel about Jerry with Mr. Peanut Butter.
Do you hate Jerry that much? Because Jerry says some funny shit, though.
Yeah, but it's more of like, just not because he's trying to be funny or witty. It's just he's that fucking dumb that there's like no computing it for him. So it's like, I'm laughing at him, not with him.
I feel it's different though. The distinction between Jerry from Rick and Morty and Mr. Peanut Butter from BoJack Horseman is that fucking Jerry is just that dumb person, whereas Mrs. Peanut Butter is dumb or Mr. Peanut Butter, fucking goddamn it, is dumb on purpose. You know what I mean?
I don't think he's dumb on purpose.
He's super dumb on purpose.
He is just not the smartest.
I just need him to get like dog cancer or something.
Like, it's so terrible.
It's the worst. But he needs to die. That's right, folks. I want a cartoon character to die. All right. What's next? Supernatural, 15 years. Good God. Hope they...
Yep.
They're probably set for life. 15 years. The residuals they make, probably.
Oh, God. Oh,
you would think.
They are fucking... all of them are.
Yeah. Aren't they still pretty reasonably young? Are they like...
I wouldn't say they're really young.
I'll look that up.
So while you're looking that up, the last thing that was posted is DC Universe will be like their comics, their TV series, everything that they have on their digital platform will be free for one day only. And what day is that? Let's see. March 30th, starting at 11:59 p.m. Saturday. So I know what I will be doing. I will be watching
Titans and Doom Patrol, right?
Titans, Doom Patrol, and Young Justice.
I mean, I won't do Young Justice because I haven't seen any of the previous stuff. But I'll definitely going to check out Titans and Doom Patrol. And I hear Doom Patrol is really, really good. And Titans gets good by the end of it.
I'm really excited. Doom Patrol looked amazing. I thought it was a fucking joke at first when I watched the trailer.
Apparently, it's like super dark and super funny.
Yeah, but it looks amazing, and it's great to see Brendan Fraser get a second chance, essentially. So that's cool. And then I didn't see anybody else.
Tagging back to Supernatural, Jared is 36, and Jensen Ackles is 41.
Okay.
So they're still
they
are young.
Well, I mean, so
for
Jensen
actors,
Ackles,
they're young. Let's put it that way.
Yes. So, I mean, well, Jensen Ackles passed up a shot at Captain America. So that's got to tell you something about how good he was being paid.
I don't think he passed it up.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Okay. I'm Googling it right now. Jensen Ackles, Captain America. He auditioned, but they opted for Chris.
Oh, okay. Still, that's saying something, though.
But what did happen was they offered him the role of Hawkeye, and he declined.
Okay, that makes more sense.
It does. It does make a lot of sense.
And I'm sure they offered him that role because of his shooting schedule.
Oh damn! He was also offered the part of Peter Quill.
Really?
And he turned that one down.
So that's got to tell you something. He's probably making some pretty serious fucking money. You probably could look up how much they were making per episode.
Probably. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, this is actually a really interesting article. I've probably talked some shit like this before at some point, especially because it says 2017. So I might have talked about it on my other show, Rising Tide. But this is a crazy list. So 15 actors who turned down roles in the MCU. So Olivia Wilde turned down Gamora.
Yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen turned down Malekith from Thor: The Dark World. We've already covered this one tons of times, but it's famous that Tom Cruise turned down Iron Man.
Which I'm actually really happy for.
I mean, let's be honest. Downey is perfect for the role.
Oh, totally.
Alec Baldwin turned down an unnamed Marvel villain, but it was rumored to be the bad guy who was played by the guy who's like fucking 90, Robert, what's his name, from Captain America: Winter Soldier, the like secretary guy who turned out to be bad and part of Hydra.
Oh, yeah. I know.
I forget his name. I fail. Oh Jesus! Rachel McAdams turned down Pepper Potts originally.
That is fucking crazy.
It is super crazy because later she obviously was in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Emily Blunt turned down Black Widow, which I'm okay with.
Interesting.
Because I want that Scarlett Johansson. Jessica Chastain turned down The Wasp, which I'm also happy about because I think Evangeline Lilly is way better as the Watch.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix turned down The Hulk, which I'm also happy about because Joaquin Phoenix... I have like a love-hate relationship with Joaquin Phoenix, like as an actor. I feel like I really loved his early stuff, but a lot of his later stuff I hated. And I think he's a great actor, but I feel like it really wildly varies, at least just for me personally. And then this is where the article came from for Jensen Ackles turned down Hawkeye. But it says it wasn't because it was just like a straight turn down. He had to turn down because of scheduling conflicts. So it sounds like he wanted to do it. Jason Momoa turned down Drax the Destroyer.
Really?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt turned down Star-Lord. He would have actually made a great Star-Lord.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know this chick. Saoirse Saoirse Ronan. Saoirse Ronan turned down Scarlet Witch.
Okay. What's she been in?
I don't know. It just says she was a 2-time Oscar nominee. She was on a short list to play her. She was going to, but then had to back out because of scheduling projects.
Okay.
Holy shit. This would have actually really been dope. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Anthony Hopkins, but check this out. Mel Gibson turned down Odin.
Oh, dude. He would have been such an awesome Odin.
He would have fucking been great as Odin. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Anthony Hopkins is a better actor. But for, like, I can see it both ways. I really can. Like, Anthony Hopkins, Odin, totally get it. Dude's Odin. Like, you see him on screen, he's Odin. But I also feel that fucking grizzled old Mel Gibson and, like, taking, like, some of his, like early 2000s actings and stuff, like, where he had, like, really quiet, like, reserved but powerful roles, that would have made a great Odin as well.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And plus, you know, some of the scenes where he's, like, the younger Odin, where he's, like, fucking laying the ass whooping down. Like, yeah. You know, he would actually make a really good Thor, Odin's father.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
If they introduce that character, he would be a really good.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to why he turned it down.
It doesn't say. It just says that he was on the list, and yeah. This doesn't surprise anybody, especially if you're even being considered, but Johnny Depp is Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And the problem was simply a scheduling conflict because he was doing Pirates.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does make sense. I mean, let's be honest. I think Johnny Strange and Depp Doctor. Yeah, that's right. Johnny Strange would have been a great Depp Doctor, for sure. But I ultimately like Benedict Cumberbatch, I think, a bit more. Especially because I think Cumberbatch's performance as Doctor Strange is pretty different, actually, from his other roles. Like, I liked the differences between his performances. Because if you look at the difference between him playing Sherlock, between an Intimidation Game, and then also Khan in Star Trek, it's like, yeah, the dude's got some fucking range.
Yeah.
So, and then the big one is Matthew McConaughey turned down Ego the Living Planet. Which is not surprising.
Yeah, I don't see him as Ego.
I don't either. Well, and you know the original role that who was going to play Ego, right?
No.
So it was going to be fuck, I'm drawing a blank. I have the picture. Fucking Pan's Labyrinth, famous singer guy. What's his name?
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah, he's the guy in Pan's fucking. I'm googling it now because I'm a terrible fucking person. Or not Pan's Labyrinth. Labyrinth. Not Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh, David Bowie.
Yeah, David Bowie.
Yeah, okay,
he was officially cast as Ego. And then like 3 months before they started shooting, he died.
Man,
and so then
he would have been a great fucking Ego.
Yeah, so they had to do some quick ass rewrites to kind of tweak it a bit for Kurt Russell. But honestly, Kurt Russell and Chris Pratt, like, together, it's like, yeah, they feel like they're of the same ilk. You know what I mean? And especially like totally. Kurt Russell, like, doing like both bad and fatherly and kind of goofy. Like, it's just that perfect mixture of like 90s Kurt Russell-ness. Yes. I thought, at any rate. But yeah, there you go. Anyway, that was the fucking coolest. So yeah, DC Universe is free for 1 day only, celebrating their 80th anniversary. And runs for a full 24 hours, Saturday, March 30th. So download that app in advance and jump on in and check out their content, which has previously been locked behind a paywall for one day only. So you might be able to fucking binge everything. Or nothing.
Oh, I will.
I mean, I'm going to give it a go. Like, I'm definitely going to watch at least a handful of episodes of each. See how it is. See what all the fuss is about. So, yeah. That's the entertainment. Yeah.
All right. So, what's our next topic?
The only thing we got left is life stories, and I don't really have anything. I've just been super down, hard on myself this week, and drinking a lot during the week.
Super depressed.
Yeah, the darkness inside.
Well, so I mean, so to put it in perspective, people, yesterday we had to split up so that he could start a job, and I had to run back to the shop.
Yeah.
And I come back, and he was like, I was like, "Oh, what are you listening to?" He's like, "Oh, well, like you left, and I was super depressed." And I was like, "What?" He's like, no, like, I just wanted to listen to some sad songs. And so I pulled up a clip from Scrubs, and I had actually just started watching Scrubs again. And it's JD going, he's like, tell your friend how you feel and don't sound like a girl. And he's like, sometimes I miss you so much it hurts. And it's like he yells it through the fucking like hospital if you haven't watched Scrubs. And I was like, and it showed it to him. He's like, fuck you.
It's true. So if listeners at home were curious as to what I was listening to, I have to look at the words because it is a really fucking weird. I was listening to Earth Sign Vulpine, which is a dope, super depressing but super epic and like atmospheric, and yeah. And then I also found out, because like I googled them, which is very surprising because I've been listening to them for years. I had no idea they also do like trailer music, like really specific custom orchestrated like trailer music. Like they'd done stuff for Star Wars and Avengers and stuff lately, and I was like, oh, interesting. I had no idea. So yeah, so if you're depressed and you don't want to be uplifted, take a listen to Ursine Vulpine. But yeah, no, like, I don't know. Like, it's just been a lot of stuff lately. And I actually posted a random thought that I had last night. I was actually like hugging my girlfriend, and I just had a thought, and I like blurted it out to her, and I was like, I'm gonna actually write it down. And I was like, and I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of mopey and depressed about it. And I was like, I feel like I have the fate of the world always rests on my shoulders. And then like this little voice inside my head was like, yes, the fate of your world always rests on your shoulders. It's always up to you if you want to play the villain or the hero in your own story. And then I was like, whoa. Because like, I don't know, it's like really weird. Like it just like it just like popped off from like my headspace, and I was just like, it was not something I had expected to think, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, there's always gonna be a little bit of a downer sometimes, unfortunately. I have not felt that way.
That's good. That's good.
So,
because it would suck if both plus. Of us were in that headspace,
right?
Yeah. 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 I don't know. You got any life stories there?
I mean, not really. I mean, not at all, actually.
Oh, I mean, we did. I mean, we were watching BoJack Horseman the other day, and so as I've said, the weekly report on the ongoing continuation of this bet of ours. What am I in, season 3 of BoJack now?
Yeah,
something like that. And I do think it's a really good show. I think BoJack's at its best when it's doing like ultra fast, witty banter like Gilmore Girls, but then also being super depressing and real. That's my personal favorite parts of that show. Uh, totally hate Mr. Peanut Butter, and Todd. I thought started off great in season 1, but season 2 and 3, he's just been fucking terrible. And it's just like ugh, this guy. And I kind of feel like at times, like because I know Aaron Paul's the producer on it, like he's just like, I just want to do these things so that I can say these things and do whatever the fuck I want, and I don't care whether it's funny or not. And it's like, okay, fine. So I still kind of feel like the ratio is probably like 2 shows super good, 2 shows kind of bad, then like 1 really good show, and then 2 like decent shows and stuff. Like it's, but at the same time, it's also kind of different because it is the Netflix binge thing. So it's like I can more clearly see like all the good parts. Like I suppose if this was aired on TV, it would probably be kind of hard to take because it's like, there's some good parts, but it's not all great. You know what I mean? So I think it being streaming is probably where it needed to be successful. Because then I can just either like suffer greatly through the Mr. Peanut Butter parts and just kind of accept the Todd parts and get to the real meat, which is that delicious horse Bojack meat of sadness and depression that we all feel sometimes inside.
Yeah.
Like the like the other day is the thing of like he was being like an adult at a prom or something, and somebody got alcohol poisoning, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna drop him off at the hospital, but we need to have our fucking story straight. And I was just like, oh man, that is so fucking true. And then Brock was like, right? And then you hesitated and you were just like, wait, you have a story like that? Because I don't know, I guess that probably surprised you.
Yeah. I mean, we used to drink like a lot together, but I was like, I don't remember ever a time where we were like worried about somebody ever dying from alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of like ran in circles, like counterclockwise to each other, and we'd like meet up at certain times, but then like you'd be off doing your own thing and I'd be off doing my own thing. And I told him this time where there was a friend of mine who will go unnamed in this story, and he had drank just so fucking much, just so much, and like the widest variety of stuff too, like the kind of variety that anybody who knows anything about drinking, you should never have any of those varieties like at one time. Like it's just a recipe for destruction. Um, and you know, and it wasn't like he was like depressed or anything. It was just like partying. You know what I mean? And he was throwing up in it was at this place where there's some people and roommates and stuff, and he was just throwing up so much that he filled his own sock drawer with vomit. And we thought it was funny and whatnot, but then like he started like wigging out, so we like took his clothes off and threw him in the shower and put like cold water on him to like, I don't know, we thought that would help, I guess, you know, younger stupider days, I guess. And like basically he didn't look so good, and we were trying to like sober him up, you know, with the water, and he like stumbled out of this bathtub and was down this hall, and we thought he was fine, and then he just fucking face plants, and he's just like not moving, not breathing, and we're like, oh fuck. And so it was one of those real life moments of just like, oh man, like he's not, we have to like fucking take him to the hospital or something. And we were just like all arguing with each other, and we're like, okay, this is the story and stuff. Because the circumstance of the situation was I was underage drinking, surprise, surprise, and he was actually the supplier of the booze. Like I'd paid him for the supply of the booze, but like he was technically supposed to be the adult, and he was basically not doing that at all. And we were like, all right, here's the story. We're just gonna like we're gonna call 911 and we're all gonna leave the apartment. We're like, no, that's fucking the stupidest idea in the world. Like that's retarded, you know? And they're like, okay, well, we're gonna go drop him off at emergency and run away. And then I don't know who it was. And then somebody was like, that's really fucking stupid because they got cameras and shit. And we're like, okay. And like while we were arguing, I don't know how long we were arguing. Like we were just like arguing about how to get him breathing again when he wasn't breathing. And then he like gurgles and wakes up and throws up some more. And we're like, yeah, he's alive. We don't have to take him to the hospital. And it was just like, Jesus.
Yeah. But that whole conversation like spawned another conversation. It's like, yeah, like people don't really die from alcohol poisoning very often. It's like they vomit and then choke to death.
Yeah.
Or they fall and hit their head and like have a fucking seizure and die. Like, I mean, your body legitimately shutting down from how much alcohol you've drank is like, you have to drink a fuck ton.
Oh yeah. Well, and like we were talking about it too the other day as well, because like it's definitely both of mine and Brock's observation and opinion that like your body naturally gets rid of and cycles out alcohol, right? Like that's what your liver is doing. And as long as you don't like do it all the fucking time to damage the liver, or, you know, you do other things to help your liver along, you know, like, you know, I hate to fucking sound like my fucking father here, but there is a decent fucking father knowledge of like everything in moderation, you know? And it's like, yeah, when you're younger, you definitely are not moderate with your alcoholic drinking, you know, but at the same time, like you can help that along by like drinking like more water, or I know a good one is drinking green tea because it helps flush out your liver and other contaminants from the drinking as well. But basically what we're trying to say is like alcohol poisoning is definitely a thing. However, the way that it's portrayed in like teenager shows and like things of crisis like that, where like, oh, he drank too much and suddenly he has alcohol poisoning. Like alcohol poisoning is like if a dude has alcohol poisoning, like it's a scenario where like, you know, like with this friend of mine, like he's not breathing and he needs to go to the hospital because his fucking system is fucking shutting down because it's fucking too poisoned. You know what I mean? And it's not a situation of like, oh, he's drank like fucking 30 beers or whatever, you know, because 90% of the time, like your system is going to throw it up or you're going to pee it out because that's what your fucking body does. And unless you have a shitty body, I guess, you know, like we're not saying it doesn't happen and we're not condoning it. That's not what we're doing. Right, Brock?
Yes.
Younger listeners.
Don't binge drink.
Don't do it. Don't be like us. Be better.
Right.
You know, we're just saying that it's a little exaggerated. And, you know, and if you get into a fucking situation like that, fucking prop your motherfucking, you know, bro or chick up, right? And give them fluids and, you know, like if...
Keep an eye on them.
Make sure they're breathing.
Yeah.
So, those things. Yeah. That's right. Oh, man. You got anything else to talk about, man?
No, not really.
Okay. Fair enough. I wanted to close out the show with a brand new segment, which I think Brock will love because I know him extremely well. And I was thinking of a way to add it to the Discord, and then also maybe like to the spin ring, although I don't know how because there's only 4 categories on it. But I was thinking of adding another topic, and it's one that can be covered kind of briefly, but I think it's a good idea because it invites discussion. And it's like, what interesting thing have we eaten or cooked this week?
Okay.
Because I know you love to cook, and you're really fucking good at it, actually. And my girlfriend loves to cook, and there's actually like a whole litany of things that she's cooked in the past month that I've not really talked about because I don't know, it's just never come up. You know, like my girlfriend's had this cookbook. It's based on Skyrim stuff, and she's got another one based on Outlander, and she's been making like all these crazy foods lately. But the one that I wanted to talk about this week, because I'd never fucking had it, is a thing that I totally forgot about, and I'm looking at her right now so that she can tell me what the thing was that she made for me that I didn't remember.
Are you talking about the horker loaf?
No, not the horker loaf, the thing this week.
This week?
Yeah, the Mexican thing.
Oh, the tostadas.
So I had a tostada. this week, and I never fucking had a tostada, so I didn't know what to expect. And I guess if you've never had a tostada, dear listeners,
They have.
okay, you just want to speak loudly.
What?
If you're gonna speak up, speak up.
I said, oh, they probably have because they don't live under a rock.
They probably have. Well, yeah, sure, okay. So poor white boy over here being fed by his Hispanic girlfriend, Mexican cuisine. So a tostada, basically, I summed it up as it's the crunch wrap portion of a crunch wrap supreme from Taco Bell.
And you aren't far off.
So I didn't know what to suspect. My wonderful girlfriend made them from scratch, and there's basically taco fixings. But I found like eating it to be relatively different because it's like it's on a big crunchy wafer tortilla thing, and you put you slather the beans on to hold the rice and the meat on, and I thought that was, I don't know, I thought it was different. It was interesting, and I had some salsa on it, and they were great. Do you have a food item that perhaps was new to you or something? I know you have a wide history and probably a much larger palate than I do.
I mean, I didn't cook anything too crazy this week, but one thing that I found at Costco and I was fucking ecstatic about, they called it a street taco kit.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about this.
And it comes with pre-made chicken, cooked and everything, like this really awesome creme fraiche, cilantro, like crema, salsa, cheese, shredded lettuce, and tortillas, little street tortillas. And I was legitimately blown away about how good it was. It was awesome, super easy to make. Even my kid liked it. And I mean, he's not really a picky eater though, so I mean, that's not saying much. But it just was really awesome and nice to see kind of a different like food that was like ready made, because you go to Costco or any other place, it's like they got the meatloafs and the mashed potato salad or this, that, and the other. But just having this cool little like pre-made kit for tacos, and I ate that. We had that for dinner one night. I had it for lunch the next day. Jay had it for dinner the day after. And I think I had some for lunch. So it was not a small amount of food to like go into it. And it was just really cool and really well done. So well done, Costco.
Was it Costco brand or just an item they had?
No, it was in their little
oh, like where they
rack.
have their like meatloafs and their chickens and stuff.
Yeah, It was just right there, ready and waiting.
Cool.
So yeah, it was super fucking cool. It made me really, really happy.
Well, right on. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of the Fork in Your Ear podcast. I'm your host, as always, author, podcaster, gamer, Tim K.A. Trotter, signing off. Check out my book, The Citadel Arrival, available on Amazon Kindle and iTunes bookstore for only $2.99. Buy a book, support the show for the love of God. And I feel like I just word farted, and I don't know what I'm saying now. This is the end of the show. This is it. This is it. End of the show. End the show. And Brock, do your sign off.
Easy peasy.
Son of a bitch. And we out. Thank you for listening to a Dynamic Works production podcast. You can find our podcast at www.dynamicworksproductions.com. Feel free to email us at dynamicworks@mac.com.
Dominic Armato, the voice of Guybrush Threepwood, and you're listening to a Dynamic Works production podcast.
The Citadel, Arrival, is the first installment in a series of epic science fiction short stories reminiscent of the Pulp Fiction style. It's a fast-paced story that will take you through twists and turns that you will not expect, until they are thrust upon you with all the force, excitement, and chaos of a plasma cannon blast. The story follows Katarl, a nobody cog in the working wheels of a futuristic society run completely by Megacorp, a corporation that carefully runs and manages the lives of the people living under its sphere of power. On one of Katarl's few and far between days off from work, an outing he had hoped would be fun and relaxing turns into an explosive adventure that drags him kicking and screaming into situations and challenges that will make him question every aspect of his life. Watch this colorful tapestry unfurl as Katarl and his newfound allies find their way through this classic, yet oddly surprising tale of good and evil, where nothing is quite what it appears to be. That's The Citadel, Arrival, by author Tim K. Trotter, available right now on Amazon Kindle Store and iTunes iBookstore for only $2.99.
Not much. Just put Jay down.
Sweet. Watched Orville.
Dude, it was super funny,
It was
right?
great.
Dude, I love fucking Mortis and his fucking husband,
Cigarettes,
like, just
fighting each other.
going fucking, just going ape shit over each other.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, that is so fucking true. The fucking, where did you hide him, Ma? Dumps out like a whole pillow of him.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
Made me feel really bad for what's his face though.
Oh, I know, right?
Like, I was like, oh man, he's like seriously hurting.
Yeah, dude, it is so funny that, like, because the guy who plays Malloy also voices Steve in American Dad.
Really?
Yeah, same dude.
Oh, dude, I totally didn't know that.
Yeah. That's
it makes total sense though.
Yeah, it really does. But he both plays, like, the sad panda, as it were, in regards to his relationships. So, yeah. Oh man, I was so mad. So right, been playing Xenoblades, right? And I was taking a dump, and then, like, the game crashes, like, full crash. I've never had a game crash on the Switch before. Like, full, like, it goes black screen, and then, like, official Nintendo statement, this game's encountered an unexpected error. You're being returned to the Switch main menu. And I was like, oh, shit. Crazy. So I loaded up my game. I lost the last 15 hours.
What?
Yeah, I'm so far back. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, dude.
So I'm really mad about it. But, like, I mean, I'm already, like, 60 hours into it, so, like, I didn't lose everything, But, like, damn, son.
That right there is enough for me to put the game down for at least a week and just, like, not break my Switch.
Yeah, it sucks because, like, I kind of played for on and off while breakfast was being made when I got up and stuff for, like, I don't know, a couple of hours. Got some good grinding in, And I was, like, right in the middle of defeating this stupid fish that's, like, 10 levels higher than me. And I kill it. I'm like, yeah. And then it crashes. And I'm like, wait, what?
Dude, I'd be so fucking upset.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty upset. But, I mean, I'm less upset because it's like, well, like, I could have gone through these last several story encounters better. So, like, I'm at stores now. I'm prepping my guys before I go in. So, I mean, it's really more of like a fuck. I'm super shocked, but I'm gonna keep my head to the grindstone, as it were.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That's still fucking brutal.
I don't disagree, man. I'm fucking yeah, absolutely. Holy crap! Oh, I just realized I'm actually going to be using my phone for this. This sesh. Okay, pulling it up to Discord.
Oh, so I finally picked up my 2DS again.
Oh yeah.
And so the Fire Emblems I've been playing is Awakenings, and it's a couple games old.
Yeah, it is the first one on 3DS.
Yeah,
that's the one I've
got. It's really
got.
fucking good though.
Wait, can we battle in that? I think we can.
I think we can either battle or team up for like big bosses.
Dude, we should totally do that. I haven't played that game in fucking forever, but I would be totally down.
I'm literally just walking through the tutorial right now as we're talking. So maybe you should do that while we unless you're gonna grind on Xenoblades.
I'm definitely gonna grind on Xenoblades. But if you're going through the tutorial, like you're starting over.
Yeah, I left my other character on because he's like level 18 or something.
Oh gosh. I would probably I mean, I vaguely remember how to play the game, like it's been years. But definitely at some point, like maybe this weekend or something, we should totally try to do that.
Okay. I'm gonna have to set up the internet for my 2DS.
Oh yeah,
I haven't set it up yet.
Oh, that's gonna be a bitch. Because of how long that code is. At least you got a pen. I know, like it's better than the fucking up down arrows on like a fucking TV remote.
Actually, I don't have my stylus. I don't know where it is.
Oh god. I mean, you can use just about anything though, because it's like the old school Palm Pilot technology. So you could use like a toothpick. Or
that's a good idea. I used my finger.
Or you could use a chopstick. Because it's based on actual touch, not a bioelectricity touch like the fingers on our phones.
Yeah. Or like the Switch.
Yeah, or the Switch, because that's the same thing as our phones. So, well,
that's good.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it, shall we?
Yep.
And just so you know, Jessica is in the room playing her Sims.
Wow. Being a nerd.
I heard that.
Oh shit! Did you?
Yes.
How did you hear that?
What did I say?
Your whole conversation.
What did he say?
He was talking about games that you guys can. I like started paying attention like halfway through about you guys, like something about the DS and at least you have a pen and then that code is really big or some shit like that.
But what did he say?
He just called me a nerd.
Oh, okay. You did hear that. That's surprising. I'm surprised you heard that.
I can hear him because you have your headphones up loud enough. Sometimes I can't quite catch some of the words he's saying. It's a little too muffled.
Put your headphones back in further. Put them back in further.
I'll have to whisper.
Whisper.
Yes.
Whisper.
Stage whisper.
Loser. All right, let's kick this pig. Cut in.